Hi all, welcome to the video. In this video, we'll look at the apply family of functions, and to start with, we'll try to understand how to implement lapply and sapply functions, and then in the later part of the videos, we'll also try to understand how to use apply function in general. Why are we using apply family? Because they are an alternate to loops. Loops are normally very good if you have to test out a certain functionality on a small subset or small number of records. However, if the number of records increase, then the loops become inefficient. So as an alternate, we have apply family. So just to give you an example, why are we using them and what is their importance? So let's say I'm initializing a vector x with some random values, and if I want to create calculate the mean, I can easily get that. However, if let's say something is stored in a list, so I am declaring a list x1 which has two elements, which is both a numeric vector. So if I want to now calculate the mean, I cannot just use mean of x1, it won't work, so I have to use lapply. So I will tell you the philosophy of lapply and sapply. Uh, to expedite operations, whatever data we are trying to use is definitely stored in a vector and then eventually into a data frame. But in order to expedite operation, we normally use list. And once something is stored in a list, general functions such as mean, median, length, and all, or some predefined functions do not work on a list. You have to write them in a lapply or a sapply fashion to make them work. So we'll just discuss very few basic examples. So now let's say if I want to calculate the mean of individual vectors in x1. So what do? I want to basically apply this mean over x1, and I'm using lapply for that. Sorry. So if I do that, so basically lapply will give me a list output. If I want the same thing in in a vector form, so I can use an sapply. So that's the only difference. If I want the output in a list, I use lapply. If I want the output in a vector, I use a sapply. Otherwise, everything else is same. Let's say for each of these element, I also want to know what is their length, what is their respective length. So I can just use lapply. I want the length of each individual element of x1. So I basically use a lapply wrapper. So I get 5 and 5, which is their respective lengths. If I also want the sum of each individual element, so I want sum of each individual element of x1, and I use them in an lapply setup. I can easily do that. Again, here I have explained how lapply and sapply differ. So I can use the same functionality. It is just that I will get output in a vector form. See. Let me now give you very basic examples of where we can use lapply and sapply. So let's say I have initialized a list x2, which is a combination of some vectors or numeric vectors. See, there are three numeric vectors stored into x2, and some of them have na. Uh, Now let's say I want to remove na from this vector. So what will I do? Function of x. I will just try to first find where exactly are the positions in x, exactly are the na position, and so this will give me all the, let's say, to understand this, let me say y is a vector 1 2 3 and na. So if I do, so let's have the argument y only, it will make understanding better. Okay, and to get the corresponding elements, so this will give me the NA element within that, but I don't want. So what I will do, I will basically use the positions where it is not NA. So this will give me a vector 1, 2, 3. So I store them in Z and then I return Z. So what I have done, I have written a custom function which loops through each elements in x2 and then returns a vector without that NA. So if I just run this, oops, sorry, there is a double, yeah. See now, if I if I run x2, which is the original list, so original list has NA elements in the first and the third vector. However, based on the function that I just created and I have used that in an lapply setup, I have removed these NAs. So what I will do, I will then store it in Z3, or let me store that in X3 only. So we saw how different elements which have NA can be, basically cleaned or, set up properly using lapply. Uh, we can write similar function. Let's say I will give you another very basic example. I want to get the data type of each element that is stored in a list. So list first element. So let me run that list. If you see, the first element is a numeric vector, the second element is a character vector, and the third element is a boolean, basically a logical function. So what I will do, I will write lapply. So my list is x3, and then I will write a custom function. Oh, let me write y only. So class of y, and then I will return. Okay, let me. So class of y is z, and then I will return z. Okay. So now if I run this, see, I got numeric, character, and logical. So this is how we can exactly do that. Uh, Now again, let's consider another example where I have a list with individual text elements. My weight is 78 kg, I am around 6 feet, and I exercise daily for 30 minutes. And I want to extract the numeric elements from each of these text elements. So what I will do, first I will initialize the list, and uh, I will just do a stir extract, and this will pretty much give me the result. But let's say if I had more numeric elements within the list, then I had to use lapply. So uh, again, a very simple example which we can do using an lapply and sapply also. But essentially you should get the concept right, where if I have multiple elements stored in a list, and if I want to do certain iteration through each of them, or if I want to apply certain function through each of them, like we had, I initialized a list with individual numeric vectors. These are two numeric vectors within x1, and I want the mean of each. So I cannot directly use mean of x. I have to use lapply of x1 and mean applied to each of the individual elements. So this was a very basic informative video which gave a general introduction of what lapply, sapply, and apply family in general do. They are they are an alternative to loops, and in the next couple of videos we will discuss very relevant use cases of where lapply, sapply, and apply in general are used in practical examples or practical situations, and this will give you an idea of the functionality in detail.